For years, I believed one thing: if I could just lose the weight, everything would fall into place. I'd be happy, dating would be easier, life would finally make sense. But after losing 200 pounds, I realized something that no one prepared me for.
I just want to say this. Let me be clear. Losing 200 pounds has been a tremendous life changing decision in my life that I don't regret at all. However, I do want to touch on this fantasy that we sometimes live in, that when you do undergo such a dynamic or significant change, that everything just suddenly becomes better, and that like society almost kind of gives you this feeling of like once you lose the weight, every problem you have disappears. And y'all, mine didn't. It just didn't. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the fantasy. The fantasy that you're sold that once you lose all of this weight, these things will just magically become so much more better, right? And that's really not the case. And I know I talk about this on previous videos, but I'm going to make a point here. Just keep following me, right? So the first one is that I never feel insecure about my body ever again. When you undergo a significant weight loss, for some people that leaves loose skin. It does. And ultimately, I traded obesity for loose skin. Don't get me wrong though. I take being in a smaller body. I would take 150 with a little bit of loose skin, baby, over a hefty 350. Okay, I take it. But when you spend all of this time putting in this work in your body and you're still left with something that is like is a reminder of where you were and what you used to look like, it can be a bit discouraging. And I talk about this in previous videos, like I stated before. You know, I do have some loose skin on my arms. Losing 200 pounds, you know, some of my feminine parts have also gone with, you know, and that could also be a bit discouraging. You know, you want to feel feminine, you want to feel like a woman, and when you be like, oh snap, it's giving like a boy, you know. You could be like, dag, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you couldn't leave me a little something in there. Couldn't leave me a little paint left, you know what I'm saying? So like it could leave you still not satisfied with what you see. And people don't talk about the reconstruction that you will need after losing a significant amount of weight. And I always tell people and caution them, if this is a journey you want to take, you need to think about what's going to happen after the fact in the next steps. Because if you lose a significant amount of weight, most likely you, unless you're okay with the loose skin, there's some people who say, I'm not getting the cut off. But for me, I want me a little nip and a little tuck. Okay? I want me a little mm. Okay? And do. Next is that I never struggle with food again. I lost 200 pounds. People would think, okay, you got it together. You'll never struggle with food again. That's false. Yo, I still struggle. Well, I won't say not in the same capacity. I'll put it like this. But yo, I love me something sweet. I love me something sweet real bad. Like in a chokehold real bad. And granted, I will say the thing that has helped me is that I'm very limited to what I could eat. And I'll probably say this: if I could eat some of the things that I used to eat back then, it'd probably be a lot harder. But I will say this: I still do struggle, y'all. And what I've noticed is that it's easier for me to listen to my body. Because before I would get hungry and I'm like, is this true hunger? Or am I wanting like more sustenance, more protein, more X, more Y, more Z? You know what I'm saying? So like now when I'm hungry, I try to listen to my body. And instead of like wanting to snack on foods, I'll make something with protein to make it. Because I'm like, Jessica, you're not wanting a snack. You're just hungry. You just want something. You want fuel, right? And there's this misconception that like you don't get tempted to eat some of the same things that you used to. Y'all, because I love some sweet real because I love some sweet real bad, that is a heavy temptation for me, right? So do I still treat myself? Yes, because I don't want to binge. You know what I'm saying? But like there are some days that are easier than others. I haven't perfected eating. I have a good grasp on it and I know what to do. But y'all, I still struggle like everybody else, right? The fantasy says I'll never struggle again, but I'm telling you, I do. I do. Matter of fact, I had some animal crackers earlier. I will say this. Now that I've kind of talked about some of the fantasy pieces, I want to talk a little bit about what actually has changed, right? Not just looking at a fantasy, but what in my life has actually changed that I could just quantify and have proof of, right? The first one being is I move easier. Y'all, I feel so dainty and light and whimsical and just like when you feel like to be in a 350-pound shell to go to 150, like it's like night and day, y'all. I'm healthier. Like I've probably added so many years to my life just by losing 200 pounds, y'all. Okay. I'll tell you this. Had I not started my weight loss journey at 350, yeah, I probably would be severely morbidly obese I would probably qualify for my 600-pound life. Granted, hopefully I wouldn't have, but like on a trajectory that I was going, all I'm gonna say is thank you. Thank you. Okay. I caught it. Next is I have a lot more energy. I have a lot more energy to do stuff throughout the day, to work out, to just do my day-to-day activities. I fit on airplanes without my thighs spilling from seat to seat. Yo, I don't think you realize how like monumental that is for me, right? I can get on a roller coaster. I can do certain things that I couldn't do before. I move through the world with ease and people don't look at me like, dang, is she gonna be able to fit? You know what I'm saying? Next is shopping is easier. So I can now get the clothes that I want and not the clothes that are just limited to the size that they have for me, right? So I'm super happy about that. Something that's actually changed. I've now had the ability to inspire thousands of people with my journey. And it is such a fulfilling feeling that there are people who say, I was inspired by you, or you keep me motivated, you keep me pushing. Like, those are some of the things that help keep me motivated and pushing as well. So, yes, I'll say this: losing the weight did change my life. Maybe not in the ways that I thought it was going to, but in the ways that it needed to. You know, like I said, I traded obesity for loose skin. I have confidence, but I still have some insecurities there, especially pertaining to, how my body looks now. As it relates to success, y'all, I work tremendously hard because once you get here, then you have to maintain. And I work so hard to make sure that I am staying on track, y'all. It's about creating discipline, and I do this on days where I don't feel like it. Matter of fact, I'm still due for a workout today that I ain't even did yet, y'all. So I still got to get that done. But when you want it bad, you want it. I refuse to go back to where I was. I'm just not doing it. All right, y'all. So let's talk about some of the lessons that I learned while on my weight loss journey. And these are some of the things that I walked away with after being on this journey, because y'all, I always say it's a marathon, not a race. I've been on this journey since 2012. Okay, I've been up, down, up, down, up, down. And like now I've got to a place where I'm tired of being up. And baby, it's time to be, I want to be down. Okay. I will say this: we spend too much time chasing the number on the scale. And I'll say this: when I first started my journey, my first goal was to be 250. I was so fixated on that number, and I got down to 250, and I was like, nah, son, like this still not it. And I'm like, I became fixated on, okay, now that I'm 250, I want to be 200. I was fixated on that now, and I'm like, okay, I got to be 200. I got down to 200 and was like, nah, this still not it. So then I got down from 180 and I was like, you know what? I think I want to be 150. And I stopped fixating the number on the scale and I started looking at how I felt and how my body looked and where I was okay with. Sometimes we can be obsessed with the number, and that number could be not necessarily be where you need to stop. You know, you may say, okay, I want to be this weight, and you'll get to that weight and be like, nah, I should probably go a little bit lower. Or, God forbid it doesn't get too low, but like, don't fix, don't fixate yourself on a number. Just start your journey, keep going, and you will know it when you see it. You will know it when you feel it. The lesson that I learned is losing weight changes your body. Nothing could have ever prepared me for the things that I experience now, whether that's in a good way or a bad way, right? But it has changed my body, not just physically, spiritually, but also mentally as well. I also learned that losing the weight doesn't automatically change your mindset. And this is where discipline comes into play. Because if I wanted to get back 350 pounds, I could just revert back to those old habits. Because I won't say it's ingrained, but like I've worked so hard to get out of that, that like there's this misconception that just because you lose weight that automatically changes it. You have to be very intentional when it comes to stuff like this. And this is why I always say, like, even, if I travel, I'm at a friend's house, or if I go do certain things, like, y'all, I'm so deep in the trenches, I'll bring my own food and cook it at your house if I know it ain't gonna be nothing there I could eat. Or I won't eat at all, I'll eat before. Or like if I'm not drinking, or if I'm not doing any of that, I won't touch it. If it ain't nothing I can eat or have, I have the discipline to not, that's not what I'm finna do. Also, I want to say this. If you're watching this and hoping that losing weight is going to fix your life, I'm not saying that this won't fix certain components of your life, but in its totality, no, it won't. Because there's other things that you still have to consider throughout this journey. But I will say, don't stop. Keep going, because your health matters. And then last but not least, because this is my opening for season 2, but this season we're going to touch on a lot of different topics that I feel like ain't people not really talking about for real, especially if they've never been on this journey. There could be people who have never lost weight talking about why people need to do X, Y, and Z, or and vice versa, right? But I want to talk about, loose skin. I want to touch on GLP-1 medications. I want to talk about bariatric surgery. I want to talk about body image. I want to give you a day in the life of me and what I do. There's so much that I want to bring to you all that, like, I feel like shedding some light on some things that most people really wouldn't consider, especially when it comes to this, right? I'm so deep in the trenches, and at this point, I do consider myself a subject matter expert because been there, done that, lived it. I've been big, I've been small, I've tried multiple things to lose weight. I've done, you know what I mean? I feel like I have the expertise at this point to touch on some of these things. And my medical doctor know, and I'm not gonna give medical advice. However, I do feel like that this is my lane and my area of expertise, right? So continue to keep watching, and we're gonna dive right into season 2. And yeah.